also currently reading 3 Chunky Beasts, and I will be coming back to this tomorrow. The thought of a music festival makes me a bit nauseous. We're just on some like single file dirt track where I can vaguely hear music in the distance. Wow, that is a lot of words for not a lot of things actually happening. Good afternoon and welcome to this end of May reading vlog where I am going to actually attempt to read something. So I have no idea what day or date it is right now. I came back from New York yesterday after I was awake for like 35 hours. I think I had 2 hours of very broken sleep. I think for the first hour of that I actually just wasn't asleep at all. I just had my eyes closed listening to an audiobook. But aside from that, I was awake from like midday UK time to 11 p.m. the following day. So like I was awake from midday on Monday to 11 p.m. on Tuesday night. So today I actually feel really good. I slept for a solid 12 hours, but I feel really good. I'm having a reset day. I'm doing a little bit of cleaning. I've just done some gardening and I'm just preparing myself to kind of like settle into normal life. Although while I am going to be working over the next couple of days, it's very much like low-key kind of stuff. But I actually really want to get some reading done because I've only read 2 books this entire month and they add up to a total of like 500 pages between them. One I read right at the beginning of the month and one I literally read in one day. But I am also currently reading 3 Chunky Beasts. I am getting straight back into Patreon stuff, so I have the Buffy watch along tonight, but I also have my Inner Circle 24-hour, Inner Circle and Cardray 24-hour readathon that's starting at 7 p.m. tomorrow and going till 7 p.m. on Friday. So I am planning on getting a lot of reading done, but the prompt for that this month is poll pick. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a poll up on Patreon. I'm gonna do an emoji poll actually with emojis that represent these 3 books, and whichever one my Patreons vote on will be the one that I'm not going to finish them, I don't think, but the one that I make the most progress in over that 24 hours. So right now, I actually don't know which of these 3 I'm going to pick up in the meantime. I'm not going to go through what all 3 of these are about because like, we'll just see what I end up dedicating time to. I'm 175 pages into Blood Solace by Vila Roth, which is the Alpha Ho book club for April and May, which is my Patreon book club. I'm 29 pages into The Dragon Reborn by Robert Jordan, which is the Wheel of Time along book for, once again, I think April and May. And then I am 54 pages into Iron Gold by Pierce Brown, which is the 4th book in the Red Rising series and my Patreon pick for the month of, I think it's March. Yeah, because I'm a couple of months behind. So I think my best game plan would be to get through a chunk of this because this is the one that I'm definitely going to struggle to read the most. And then depending on what mood I'm in, I'll read like, I want to say at least 50 pages. I feel like I should be reading bigger chunks than that. Can I is the question, because it does tend to be quite slow going and quite dense. But then after that, I'll hop into one of these. So I just kind of wanted to get the vlog started. It's going to be a hot mess of me trying to read whatever I can in this last week, but hopefully I want to say hopefully I'll finish at least 2 of these before the end of the month. That does feel like a big ask right now, but because I haven't really read for the majority, and I fully expected this in May, I didn't expect to read so little, but I knew that reading was going to fall by the wayside. But because I haven't really read in so long, I'm feeling super motivated. I'm also feeling super motivated to like watch BookTube. So there's potential that tonight I'll just alternate between catching up on videos in my watch later, which I mean I'm currently in February in my watch later, and getting some reading done. I do have the Buffy watch along tonight though, so actually that's not gonna happen, but we'll see. I'm taking it easy. I'm just, like I said, it's a reset day for me today.
Let's go. Take a nice deep breath in, exhale out. Anybody had a stressful day? No, you had a fantastic day lying to your employer so that you could be here.
So it's early, it's only 9:30, but looking at this poll, like nothing is going to overtake the book that's in the lead, which is The Dragon Reborn by Robert Jordan. I'll show you what emojis I use for this poll, but essentially like Dragon Baby won. I think if people knew that it was The Dragon Reborn, they wouldn't necessarily have voted for this one. But this is good anyway, because we've just set the date for the live show for this, which is going to be the 4th of June at 9 p.m. on Mel's channel. And I need to read, aside from Sunday, because I'm going to a festival on Sunday, I need to read 54 pages a day, but that was including yesterday and I didn't do that. So I do need to get a wriggle on. I need to get to around page, I think 140 today. So the sprints are really going to help me with that. This is obviously like, I was going to say we all know what Wheel of Time is. Unless you've read Wheel of Time, I actually don't really think that you know what it is, because I didn't. The synopsis is very ambiguous, but it is essentially like a classic epic struggle between light and dark, and in every kind of turn of the wheel, which is an age, the struggle between light and dark continues, and progressively over the time the dark has been winning. So in Wheel of Time we are following this era's Dragon Reborn, who is this like influential pivotal figure that is a pawn of light and dark. Essentially they're like really integral in which way the scale tips in that age. And we're also following a handful of Tarvaran, who are people that essentially are able to alter the weave of the world, and the weave of the world is time and all of these like repeatable or repeated instances that happen in every age, and only these people have the power to alter that weave. I feel like we're finally getting somewhere with this, in that the equilibrium I feel has finally started to change a little bit. The characters are finally starting to evolve, and I feel like the first two books were about accepting their fate, and now they're actually going to start not necessarily doing something about it, but fate is carrying them along this tide and there's nothing they can do, and their characters are starting to evolve. Like they're starting to be put in different positions because of that. I'm also particularly excited. It's very slow, but this one has a lot less of Rand's POV in it and a lot more of Perrin, I've heard. So I'm definitely excited about that, because I find Rand's perspective to be especially frustrating. So my plan for the 24-hour readathon is essentially to read those 54 page per day segments. Unfortunately, that does mean that I will be having to read 108 pages today and then 54 tomorrow during the 7 hours of sprints we have there. But I am about to start a secondary poll because I don't, with the prompt being poll pick, I don't want to then just default to another book I'm currently reading because it didn't win a poll. So I'm going to be doing a secondary poll for some quicker reads. And I have a selection of 4 here. I say quicker. 2 of these are only quicker, I imagine, because they're quicker than Wheel of Time, not because they're necessarily the fastest reads ever. But I am going to be putting 2, they're all books I've hauled as well, which, I mean, I'm completely ignoring my backlist here. But I have 2 manga in here because they'll obviously be super quick. The first one is Dreaming Sun Volume 5, which is obviously Volume 5 in a contemporary series that I really love. And then I also have Dick Fight Island, because why the fuck not? You know, this one is, I don't even know what genre this would be, but it's about a group of guys who are put on an island and have to fight with the dicks. Like literally is what it says on the tin. And I'm intrigued because I've actually heard that the plot is good in that one. And then we also have an arc that I've received from Bloomsbury that was published earlier this month, so I definitely want to get to it, and obviously I'm running out of time. Oops. Which is Gwen and Art Are Not in Love. It's technically, I would say, a fantasy romance because of the setting. It's like a retelling or inspired by Arthurian legend, but I feel like it's going to be like a contemporary romance at its heart, like on this Camelot backdrop. And then we have Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros, because this is super hyped. Everyone and their mother is reading this right now. Rebecca Yarros is going to be at Rare. I'm going to take this book to be signed regardless, but I'd also like to read it because everyone's loving it and I need to know why. So once again, we are doing an emoji poll because I know if we don't, Fourth Wing will definitely win. I don't feel like I have a preference of what wins the poll because I would really like to read this and see what the hype is about. But if one of these is selected, then obviously I'll be able to get through it within the 24 hours, no worries. And I do really need to start this one. So whatever wins is fine. I'm not going to put any dragon emojis in there because obviously that skews the poll quite a bit. But what I'll do is when I get around to actually picking up that book, like when I've hit my Wheel of Time page goal or we roll a double, I'll check the poll and let you know what I'm going to be picking up next. So I hit page 113 in Wheel of Time, which is halfway between where I should be today. It's like halfway to the point where I need to be tomorrow. So I have the same amount tomorrow that I've read today. I feel like that was a really roundabout way of saying that. Essentially, I've read all I'm going to read or all I'm planning to read of this tonight. Although if we roll a double during sprints, I will come back to it. But I'm 10 chapters in and I'm enjoying it because we're following Perrin, who's the most interesting character to me or the most interesting character perspective to me, and I am very much enjoying that. I'm just getting a little bit frustrated at the minute with this because it does have a lack of balance in character perspective. While I am appreciating how much pairing we have, I feel like it's very noticeable that we have a lack of Ron's perspective in here, which you'd think I wouldn't mind because Ron's perspective is my least favorite. It's just that it's so noticeable and feels kind of unnatural after having the majority of book 2 especially being from Rand. Like, I just feel like we need some sort of balance in the perspectives, because why do we have one book that's so Rand heavy and one that's so pairing heavy? Like, these characters are in different locations at different points. Why can't we mix it up a little bit? But that being said, I am putting this down for now, and I will be coming back to this tomorrow. But until then, I'm going to be picking up something else, and I do think I know what's won the poll, because of the 4 books that I picked for the second poll, people guessed what one book in particular was, and they very much wanted me to read it. I feel like I'll show you once again the emojis that I use, but I feel like you can guess which one it is. So this time with 52%, is that the same as what the Dragon Reborn won by? Yeah, so once again, well, it's on 51% now, but I feel like it was on 52 before. Once again, by 52%, the winner of the second poll is Dickfight Island by Raven Ike, I want to say, but I'll look that up before I come back to you. So I'm going to be reading this. I anticipate being done by the end of sprints. Will I come and tell you my rating on it? I might be too shook. I honestly don't know what to expect from this. It's sealed, so I'm expecting it to be graphic. I gotta say, the images on the back intrigue me, especially this one and this one, but I couldn't even tell you what genre this is. Is it fantasy? Is it dystopian? Is it romance? Is it speculative? I might have to look that up, but all I know is that all of these guys are on an island. It's a tournament to choose the next king of the islands. Oh, they don't fight. Whoever comes first loses. Participating warriors protect their mighty swords with armor that grows larger and more elaborate with each tournament, but one warrior has returned from studying abroad with a technique certain to force a pleasurable eruption. Is there a competitor alive able to withstand it, or is this deft warrior destined to become king? So I feel like this, I thought that they fought. I did think that they fought, and now I don't think that they fight. But this could go either way for me. I could be enthralled and think it's genius and be captivated the entire way through, or I could think it's stupid. So we'll see which way I go, because you know how I feel. Like, when things are designed to be just like a bit of fun, I often don't like them. So we'll see which way I fall. I'm very excited to crack this open and see what's inside. Good morning, guys. My day has not gone to plan so far, but sprints will be starting again in just under 30 minutes, and I do need to bring you a little bit of a reading check-in because last night I did finish Dickfight Island. Thank you so much to Ash for sending this to me as well, by the way. This was a surprise birthday present from Ash. And please don't cry. And you know what? I actually did enjoy it more than I anticipated. I definitely understand why people say that, well, people say that this has decent plot. I would say that it more has decent world building, but it is kind of pretty much what it says on the tin. It's about a tournament that happens every 4 years in this group of islands where one representative or one guy from every island is chosen, and they have to fight in a tournament until only one remains, and that one becomes the king of the islands for the next 4 years. So this one follows this year's tournament. It did read very much like a standalone, so I'm not sure where a sequel is going to take it unless it's following like the next tournament in 4 years. We had some weirdly, it's not romantic, like the fighting, and it is what it says, like whoever comes first loses, but weirdly it's not romantic except in the instances where it is, like it's not inherently romantic. dramatic, but we do have some kind of like wholesome plot lines throughout here. But the thing that I'm kind of most surprised by is that I actually I did think it was fun. It's definitely bizarre and it is very, very explicit, but it's just so fun in the fact that it is so bizarre. Like, this is such a wild concept, and I feel like I enjoyed it for what it is. In terms of rating, I'm not sure whether... I feel like it's going to be a 3. I did really enjoy it, but it's not changed my life. I have no overwhelming desire right now to go ahead, run out and pick up the sequel. There are a couple of places where I don't think this was executed in the best way. We do have a lot of characters in here. You have these 8 guys and maybe 3 or 4 supporting side characters. So getting to grips with who each of them is and remembering their names and also the clans that they come from was a lot. And also the fact that there is identifying information about each of the clans. We also have information about who won the tournament last and why that's relevant and why they did things a little bit differently. And then my other kind of criticism of it is that for something with a tournament plotline, I think it happened way too fast, because the entire tournament happens in this one volume. And going into this knowing it was a series, I actually expected this to be maybe the first 2-3 rounds of the tournament max, and then for us to follow later stages of the tournament in later installments, but the whole thing wraps up in this one thing. It is a little bit different than I expected it to be as well, because it's very much like a gladiatorial arena kind of situation, whereas I thought with it being called Dick Fight Island, I thought it was going to be more battle royale style, Hunger Games, where they're all thrown onto an island and it's the last one that comes out or doesn't is the winner. But yeah, it was wild. I really did enjoy it though. Surprisingly as well, because I really thought it was going to be one of those instances where it's a fun wacky concept, and I hated it because of that. So my battery is about to die, and it's my own fault because I haven't unpacked my battery charger from my suitcase yet. So all of my batteries are dead. But because I finished Dick Fight Island, I did put another poll up on Patreon. This one was the 2 most popular runners-up from the past 2 polls, which was Gwen and Art Are Not in Love and Blood Solace. And I put one new edition in there as well, which was Deadlands by Stacey Marie Brown. And the winner of this one, I'm actually surprised. I feel like it's because people can't guess what this is that they ended up voting for it, and also because it has 4 emojis in the title. But with 46%, the winner is Gwen and Art Is Not in Love, which is actually a great shout because this is on my TBR. I do really want to get to it because it has now been published. I think the release date for this is something like the 10th of May potentially, and I do think that this is going to be a really quick fun read. So this is following, it's a Arthurian legend retelling, but it's more inspired, I believe, as opposed to a retelling. But we're following Guinevere and Arthur, who both hate each other, and they've ended up betrothed. So after, I think Gwen finds Art kissing a boy, and Art finds Gwen writing love letters to, I think it's one of her handmaidens, they decide to go along with their betrothal in order to pursue their own relationships. But I do feel like it ends up coming around to a romance between the 2 of them, just because it's called... I actually couldn't predict it. I feel like it is going to end up as a romance between them, but is it literally going to be Gwen and Art Are Not in Love and will never be in love? I guess we'll find out. This is YA, but I'm expecting it, while it is a little bit fantastical because of the Arthurian Camelot setting, I feel like this is going to be more of a contemporary romance, a YA contemporary at heart, with the setting, adding a little bit of a fun backdrop to it, as it being a fantasy romance. And it's also giving me the vibes of the synopsis and stuff is giving me Casey McQuiston, who I actually really enjoy. So my plan when the sprints start is to read my section of this, which I need to get to around page 190, which looking at this, I'm aiming for page 192, which I think is 74 pages. And if we roll a double, or if I get to that, I'll make a start on this, which I anticipate being quite a fast read. Good afternoon, or Good evening at this point. I feel like I'm running very behind. It's 8 p.m. I'm about to get ready to work out, which is why I'm up here. It's been a while since I've done a vlog update in here. Welcome to my hell. As you can see, we have no wallpaper on the walls right now, but the roof has been fixed. And the next step is to get a joiner in to get us a new door and then a plasterer to fix the walls because they're crumbling, which is what we discovered when we started taking the wallpaper off. But I just hate this room now. This room, I hated it. I always hated it. I don't take care of this room. I have no pride in this room. And I have even less at the minute because there's no wallpaper on the walls and we also have holes in the plaster. But that is all besides the point. I did a couple of hours of Patreon sprints again today, and I've picked up yet another book. It's a book that I'm currently reading. It's just not a book that I've mentioned yet in this vlog, which is Blood Solace by Vila Roth. This one is my Patreon book club pick for April and May, so I do kind of want to get it read this month, and also this is the one that I'm actually the most likely to actually finish in this month. So I'm 242 pages into it at the minute of like 560, 70-ish, and I'm actually enjoying it now. It took me a while to get into it. This one is an adult indie, like very political fantasy romance following the bastard daughter of a king, like a human king, and a Hesperian emissary that has traveled from the Hesperian lands, Hesperians like vampiric creatures, to attend a like negotiation to re-establish this treaty that has lapsed over the last couple of hundred years. So the bastard daughter of King Cassia is trying to get in touch with a Hesperian because of something that happened in the past, like she'd like to talk to one, and the majority of the first book is conversations between Leo and Cassia every night as they meet in secret. So book 2 has moved on from that, but the main plot line in here is definitely to do with like war and politics because the Hesperians are hated, even though like as far as vampiric creatures go, they're actually like very serene and they work in tandem with nature, but humans have been like spinning these lies about them. So the main conflict in here is between the Hesperians and a country full of war mages that really don't like them, with the humans kind of in the middle, although the humans don't like the Hesperians either. It has a very formal, very like historical-esque, like proper court etiquette kind of writing style, which makes the first like 100-ish pages of every book a little bit of a drag. But once I got past that, it started to pick up a bit. I will admit I had no desire really to pick it back up again since I've come home from New York, but now that I have picked it up and read a good like 60 pages, like as soon as I picked it up I was into it again. So I feel like it's just the beginning of each of these books that's pretty rocky. So I've read like 50-60 pages of this today. I feel like the first 180-ish pages were just building up to things actually happening. I really wish that it hadn't, like after the first book and how slow it was, I feel like I would have appreciated a little bit of a faster move into what's actually going to happen in the book. And I will say that something that I don't love about this series is that it's very dialogue heavy. There's a lot of conversation in here, which I don't feel like is particularly balanced. Like it's definitely dialogue heavy. So I think now I did start Gwen and Art Are Not in Love. I only read like 20 pages of it during the readathon, so I'm now currently reading that as well. But I think my plans for the rest of this vlog is to get however far I'm gonna get into The Dragon Reborn, reading 54 pages a day, which I'm actually enjoying that. I'm liking the perspectives. We're now in like the Tar Valon setting, which it's kind of like a magic school vibe, which I really appreciate. And I'm enjoying seeing some of the female characters have a little bit more spotlight. And my other goal, or what I'm going to attempt to do at least, is finish Blood Solace, which is going to be not too bad actually. It's about 330 pages, which I feel like I can do when I have up until next Wednesday. Saying that though, I am going to Slam Dunk tomorrow, Slam Dunk North, so I don't anticipate reading anything. We're leaving here at about 9 AM. We're going to drop Brie off at the sitter, and then we're aiming to get there at about, we're aiming for 11. Realistically, it's going to be more like 12. But I've just worked out my schedule, my battle plan, if you will. I don't even know if you guys are going to be able to read this because of how like tiny it is. But Bowling for Soup are proving to be a big problem because they overlap with the end of the main set and also the beginning of Yellow Card, which I don't really mind missing the beginning of Yellow Card, but I really don't want to miss the end of the main. But looking at this, I only have to actually, like, the first band that I'm interested in is Hawthorne Heights, and they're playing at like 1:10 so we have some wiggle room there. We also have a break between 4:15 and 4:55 where hopefully that's in between Real Friends and 4 Years Strong, where I'll potentially get some food. But we'll see. This is my first music festival, because actually the thought of a music festival makes me a bit nauseous. It's the camping. You will never find me camping anyway in any situation. It would be very difficult to convince me to camp. It would have to be because everybody else is doing it and I have extreme FOMO. But just the dirt and the disgustingness and the behavior of people at music festivals could never be me. And I know loads of people in my comments are going to be like, oh, but it's a great vibe, like if you try it, like everybody just embraces it for the weekend. I will not be embracing that ever. I can do a day festival, but that's it. I think just living in that discomfort for more than a day, having to sleep there, and like at Leeds Fest where you're worried that people are going to set fire to the no. It's not for me. But one day of pop punk I can do, and I'm actually really excited, although I have no idea what I'm gonna wear. So I should probably figure that out before I get to bed tonight, which I am also hoping for an early night. Good morning. I'm pretty much ready to go, which is great because I'm running late. I should be at the dog sitter now, and I haven't left home yet, but I just thought I'd do a quick little outfit of the day. We have jean shorts. It's 16 degrees out and I really didn't know what to wear because I was expecting it to be warmer, and 16 degrees is very much like in the middle. But I also have a Frank Turner vest that I got on tour a couple of years ago, and this check shirt over the top, which is mainly because of how short my shorts are. But this one I think I got from Primark, but I don't wear it very often because the red and black is like obviously very emo, which is perfect for today. So yeah, just thought I'd check in, let you know what I'm wearing. And we're gonna get on the road because apparently in the south yesterday there was a parking nightmare and some people missed half of the festival. They're trying to resolve it, like they've made steps to resolve it today, but whether or not they do, we'll have to wait and see. So it's 1:35 and we arrived right next to Slam Dunk at 12:15. 1 hour and 20 minutes later, we are still queuing to park. Like I said, I think I said when I updated that like people have been complaining about the parking. They were queuing for 3.5 hours. This is already too much. Like they've closed off parts of the dual carriageway to like route people round, but there's people coming because like there's so many dual carriageways. There's people coming from 27 different directions. There's 3 lanes off the motorway trying to merge into the right lane of the dual carriageway. And now we're just on some like single file dirt track where I can vaguely hear music in the distance. We just drove past a girl who was walking and asked the parking people who were doing nothing, like they put a notice on Instagram and said if you haven't pre-booked parking then don't come and park. Nobody's checking parking tickets at all, and the girl just asked like one of the parking people how far a walk it is, and he's like maybe 20 minutes. And that was like a ways back, and the end like still doesn't seem to be in sight. Like look, we're just in the middle of the wilderness. I have no idea where I'm going, but I want to be there already. I've missed Hawthorne Heights. Luckily, the next band that I really want to see is Real Friends, and I have until 3:45. It's 1:36, so like I'm hopeful I can get there for that time. I stand corrected. We did just, this is so rookie. We did just have somebody check our car parking ticket, so at least there's that. But like so far to the end, like we queued an hour and 20 minutes to get to that point. Can you imagine if you didn't see it on Instagram and you drove this far thinking you could pay for the parking when you got here? And you just can't, like, oh my god. But yeah, the car park is in sight, so we're nearly there.
Much more. We were both 18 and it felt so right. Sleeping all day, staying up all. Staying up all. If I could find you now, it's when we're there. We could leave this town and run forever. Like our wings crashed down.
Just past 5 p.m. It's bank holiday Monday here in the UK. I think it's Memorial Day for you guys in the US, so still a holiday, but I have still worked today. I've ended up finishing editing the New York vlog, which I had quite a lot of footage left over, so I'm surprised and very happy I have managed to get through that today. Slam Dunk was good yesterday. I had a very good time, but I feel like that was my first ever festival. I don't like festivals as a concept. I feel like I mentioned this, the thought of camping, repulsive. The thought of having to use those toilets and like facilities for more than one day, repulsive. So I don't have anything to compare it to, and I had a decent time. If you go into the Slam Dunk Instagram page, a lot of people are complaining about a lot of things, but I don't have anything to compare it to, so I don't know how bad it truly was. It was definitely a lot of people. People are saying it's the busiest Slam Dunk that it's ever been, that it was dangerous, that the queues were ridiculously long. I can definitely see how that was the case. I'm really glad that we got food as soon as we got there because we were hungry from having to queue for the car park for like an hour and a half to 2 hours. But I think with festivals, I just always assumed that they were always busy. So I don't know what's busy, like a normal amount of busy, and what's like, this is absolutely ridiculous. I did want to catch the end of Boston Manor's set, but it took me their entire set to queue for the toilets. And there were 3 queues for that particular bank of toilets. I did think that there was one tent that was like the records tent, and obviously this is like a grassy area, so like it's a little bit hilly, and they put the big stages at the bottom of hills, which was really cool because then you could sit on the hills and have a perfect view of the stage. But some of the tents were built on hills, and 2 tents, especially the record tent, I went into and it made me feel physically sick because of how disorienting it was. And I don't know what was going on, like what the actual like brain stuff that was happening that made me so disoriented, but it was something to do with it being built on a hill. Like it actually made me feel nauseous. The main thoroughfare from like the Amazon stage through to the Kerrang stages was through the like corridor where all of the food was, and that was horrendous. Like it was a bottleneck and it was literally forcing your way through people. So I absolutely see how everyone's like criticisms of it on Instagram is valid. We left 3 songs into The Offspring because I don't care very much about The Offspring, and I don't care about Enter Shikari either, which were the 2 headliners. But we made sure that we didn't stay for The Offspring so that we could get out of the car park, and it seems that people were queuing to get out for a long time. So I'm really happy that we did decide to leave early. I believe that people who had advance booked the car park were turned away because at the start of the day people weren't checking car parking tickets, so people who had actually paid for the advance booking were turned away, and it had a whole host of problems. But from my perspective, like I do see how it was very busy. I just have nothing to compare it to know what like is busy and what's too busy, and I had a good time seeing the bands that I saw. And I also wanted to catch a little bit of the beginning of 4 Year Strong before I went to Kids in Glass Houses, but the Kerrang tent was just completely inaccessible. Like you actually physically could not get into it, and it was the same for Yellow Card. We were stood right at the back, which I mean is fine. It's because the main set ended so close to Yellow Card started that was a thing, but like I was a little bit surprised at how busy it was. I did do a little bit of reading last night, and I have been mainly focusing my attention on Blood Solace, which I'm getting a little frustrated with this book because I feel like things are just starting to happen 310 pages in, and while book one, the end of book one, kind of set up for the characters to be doing certain things that would be happening at the beginning of this book, I don't feel like they have. I feel like it's just taken a lot of time to get through a small amount of scenes, and I feel like some of the plot development is a little bit lazy. Just the same kind of, let's say, information gathering happening over and over again. And it's like, when I'm picking this book up now, my thought every time is like, wow, that is a lot of words for not a lot of things actually happening. But it's holding my attention, and it has for the last 100 to 150 pages for the most part, but I do feel like it does do a lot of telling and not showing. There's a lot of eavesdropping on secret evil meetings. There's a lot of political gatherings where there's a lot of powerful people in a room with a lot of conversation backwards and forwards that's really like explaining a lot of like the state of the world and how things are going to be, and like, look at us hatching an evil plan, as opposed to anything really being done. Like, it's a lot of people sitting around participating in conversation. So yeah, I'm very middle of the road with this right now. I have not started my Wheel of Time section for today, and I do have the Buffy watch along with my patrons starting in 3 hours. So I'm gonna go make some dinner. I want to get a workout in as well. I'm not sure how much reading I'm gonna get done for the rest of the day, but I do think I'm gonna be doing Patreon sprints again tomorrow, so hopefully a lot will be read then, at least. And then for the rest of tomorrow, or like tomorrow daytime, I'm going to be taking tomorrow off actually, because we have some things that we need to take to the tip, which we're going to try and get through first thing. And then I have a prescription that I need to pick up, and while I'm down there, I'm going to go see my dad, give him the things that I bought for him and his wife when I was in New York. I always feel weird calling Claire like his wife, but it feels weird because they got married when obviously like I was 29, to call her my stepmom. But yeah, I need to go give those gifts anyway, and also return the trolley, and then Patreon sprints in the evening is hopefully the plan. But yeah, let's see how much I can get done today first. So I'm having a not great day, in case you're wondering. It's the last day of May. It's around 1:45, and for the last 3 days I've been experiencing some fatigue, which is a monthly symptom of mine. And I am on medication. I've been on meds for the last like 3 months trying to fix it, or like alleviate the symptoms a little bit. And I'm feeling a little bit disheartened right now, because obviously with me feeling the fatigue, that means that it's not necessarily working the way that I would like it to, but it has pushed it off for longer. So I think it's been like 7 weeks-ish since I've last felt like this way, which is definitely an improvement on what I was experiencing before. But it does mean like I'm sleeping for 9 to 10 hours. Like I cannot. I set my alarm for 7 a.m. Can I get up at 7 a.m? Absolutely not. And then I come down, I sit on the sofa, and like my eyes are like rolling because I just cannot stay awake. And it takes me, I guess, a longer amount of time than usual to kind of get myself up for the day. And it's not the tiredness that's the worst part of it for me. It's the lack of focus. It's the fact that I was supposed to film 3 videos today, and I actually decided to change my schedule because I'm getting my wax tomorrow. So if I have the choice between filming hairy or not hairy, I'm gonna go with not hairy. But because of how I'm feeling, I gave myself very easy tasks, and it's taken me like 4 hours to proof a video. It's a long video. It's a 55-minute video, but it shouldn't take that long. And everything just takes me 5 times as long. So like I'll substitute easier tasks into my day, and I can't even get through easy tasks, which then obviously makes me feel very like I've underachieved, which I mean I have, but I'm trying. So I do have to do sprints tonight because I was feeling fatiguey yesterday as well, and I only got back from my dad's at like 5 p.m. So I decided to do sprints this evening instead of last night so that I wouldn't have to rush around. And I can say that I'm not going to be finishing a book today at all. What? I'm not the only one feeling hormonal in this house over the last week or so. We're both really going through it right now. But I'm just over 300 pages into Blood Solace, which is the one that I thought I was going to finish. Absolutely not. I'm on page 308. And I am 340 pages into The Dragon Reborn. So I'm gonna, this vlog is gonna be wrapping up today at the end of the month, but I'm gonna see how much I get read in sprints so that we can see at what point I'm starting off June. I mean, I didn't think I was actually realistically going to finish another book this month, but it would have been nice. But this one I'm aiming to get to page 420 today, and after that we'll just see how much of Blood Solace I can read. I'm not expecting the most, but I really just want, and I have it planned for Saturday, I just want a day where I literally do nothing but cocoon and read, especially because I'm feeling like this. But the problem is that this always hits in inconvenient times, like the fatigue always hits at inconvenient points where I'm like, okay, like I have things I need to get done today, or things that it would be great if I really tried to get done today to take them off my to-do list. And I'll keep pushing and pushing through fatigue days to get things done. And then by the time it rolls around to the day that I've scheduled, I kind of compromise with myself, and it's like, okay, I understand you feel like shit, but we get through 2-3 days of work and you can have one day to turn into a complete potato and just kind of like lean into how you're feeling. What's going to happen, or what typically happens, is that for the days when I'm working I feel terrible, and then when we get to the day that I've actually allocated to just fully embrace the potato life, the fatigue eases off and I'm back to my usual self where I can't sit still and I want to achieve things and get things done. So it just really does feel like I'm wading through mud mentally today. I don't want to rely on caffeine to give me a buzz, because realistically all it does is takes away the headache that I have. It doesn't actually really give me any energy. But I might make myself a half caffeinated or decaffeinated coffee as like a placebo effect to get through the rest of my day. I literally, like, I know I'm not going to accomplish anything. I have a little bit of admin that I've now substituted into this afternoon just to give myself something really small but like still be productive, you know, because like one of the things I have to do is I have to send an invoice to a sponsor, which I'm terrible at admin. I spoke about it before. I really procrastinate on it. So realistically that'll take me 20 minutes absolute maximum, even feeling like this. But because it's such like a task that I put off and put off and put off, and it's one of those tiny things, you know, where they're actually really easy to do in themselves, but they mount up because you keep putting them off. So I'm hoping that I'll give myself that boost of like accomplishment, because I'll tick off like, I think I've got 3 or 4 small admin tasks to do, and that'll help counteract the fact that I feel really sluggish. I completely forgot until this morning that I was supposed to wrap up this vlog after sprints last night, so here we are. I do want to say as well that after my update yesterday, I was once again completely right. My fatigue has gone today, so I should have, obviously, like, I didn't know that this was going to happen in advance. I didn't know I was going to feel fine today, but in hindsight I should have taken yesterday off instead of trying to push through it, and then just come back at it today instead of trying to wade through mud to get things done. But like, I just don't, you don't know. I didn't know I was gonna feel absolutely fine today. So I guess I won't be having that rest day on Saturday. I still kind of want to, because I also want to take that time to do a ton of reading, but I also have to, I really need to go through my closet and all of my drawers and donate to charity all of the clothes that are now too big for me or that I just don't wear anymore, because everything that stores clothes in my bedroom is exploding. And oh, the siren. Now that all of the wallpaper has finally been stripped off the bedroom walls, we're getting a joiner in next week to give us a quote for some, obviously, joinery woodwork that needs doing. And then after that, we need to get a plasterer in. So like, essentially, now is the time to downsize, get all of my stuff away so that while all of this work's being done, I have as little things in there as possible. And then on top of that, when Curtis was stripping the last of the wallpaper the other day, the other wardrobe, which were left here by the lady that we bought the house off, because we had like obviously no furniture when we moved, this is our first house, it just kind of collapsed on him. So he has nowhere to put his clothes right now. So now that we have minimal furniture, it's a good time to get the joinery, the plastering, and like a new carpet in. And finally, hopefully get that room sorted. It's the room that needed the most work. So it's the one that was kind of left until last outside of like the bathroom, because eventually I want like a full new bathroom and stuff. But that, it doesn't matter. I'm feeling good and I have things that I need to do on Saturday, or that could do with doing on Saturday, is what I'm trying to say. But in terms of reading, nothing really to tell you, so I'm just going to give you a final update on my pages at the end of this week. Dragon Reborn I read the most of, and I wanted to get a book finished this week, and I was kind of feeling a bit meh because I didn't. But I did start editing this vlog yesterday, and I realized that at the beginning of this vlog I was 29 pages into this, and I'm now 423 pages into this, so I've read nearly 400 pages across this week, which ain't half bad considering how slow I generally find these books. And I'm actually having a decent time with this one and finding it pretty immersive. So this one is for sure going to be done in next week's vlog. I have decided that next week's vlog is just going to be like a weekly vlog, and while I'm so behind on my TBR, I think that's what we're pretty much going to get all throughout June, so that I can hopefully just play catch up instead of like diverting and doing themes and stuff and ended up never clearing through like the backlog that I've now kind of created for myself. And in terms of Blood Solace by Viola Roth, I haven't picked this up for a couple of days, but I have made it to page 310 in here. So I think I've read about 140 pages of this. So I've read 550 pages across the week, which generally speaking would be enough to finish a complete book. But I'm an idiot who decided to currently read multiple things at once, and on top of that, make them all absolutely massive books. So, oh, I did finish a book this week. I read Dick Fight Island. Look at me go. Next week's vlog will pretty much just continue on from this point, almost exactly, because I think I'm just gonna start it as soon as I've wrapped up this one. But I do hope you have enjoyed this vlog if you've made it this far. If you have, please don't forget to like if you liked it and subscribe if you wanna, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Oh, you bite your friend like chocolate. You say you're go where nobody knows, with guns hidden under our petticoats. We're never gonna quit it, no, we're never gonna quit it, no.